Hi, I'm Brian Santo, editor of CED Magazine. This is Demystifying Technology, Stream Management, and Policy Enforcement in Multiscreen Delivery. Adaptive bitrate streaming has numerous challenges. First and foremost is the complete lack of protocol standardization. This has resulted in the current wasteful practice of encoding and storing all possible versions of a video to ensure playback on every single requesting device. The race to provide multiscreen has resulted in other technological shortcuts, in particular an overall lack of control features for service providers hoping to differentiate quality of service, congestion management, rate shaping, and group-based management and analytics. Quality of experience issues come in when content manifests are created based on the player protocol rather than based on the needs of the individual device or user. Congestion management issues arise when all clients are treated alike, regardless of the network conditions, device capabilities, or monetization value. Rate shaping issues pop up because TCP is inherently spiky, leading to extremely low network interface utilizations, sometimes as low as 10%. Group-based management and analytics, that's an issue when you're unable to track and enforce QoE for specific groups within service-specific clients. I've invited Duncan Potter, CMO of Seawell Networks, to discuss some of these issues in detail. Duncan?
Session delivery management is typically performed by a session delivery controller sitting with or as part of an edge cache in an ABR multiscreen network. It typically takes a redirect from a request router or directly manages each request for content. It then creates a bespoke manifest, sometimes called a playlist, for each device and conforms the content into the correct format for playback. This is what we covered in your discussion on dynamic repackaging. This not only happens dynamically, it happens continually, which really creates a virtual session between the network and the client. From this position, it's then possible to provide both an oversight point for observing what's occurring and an enforcement point to manage policy. For oversight, the session delivery controller function collects a number of metrics right down to the user client level, including such things as device, operating system, the number of fragments being delivered, the current and the ongoing bitrate. This information is crucial to the ongoing functioning of the system, but also for monetization, as you really need to know if an ad completed playing, who it was played to, and the context. In other words, what the content was that was playing at the time of the ad. The system then uses the information collected, as we've said before, to inform the system what action to take based on policies set by the service provider. Is this user device allowed to actually receive this content? At what quality? And what's the optimum video settings and screen size for this device? Control over these and other policies are precisely what a service provider needs to provide a superior service.
What about policy enforcement, which seems to be a major missing component in many delivery systems currently deployed?
That's a very good question. In a system like this, you really need to divide the policies into static and dynamic. Static policies are enforced on connection and don't change throughout the session. These are things like user authorization and service tier. It can enforce policies based on information included in the client's HTTP request, such as a token to identify or authenticate a user. Similar, it's also possible to interface with a subscriber management database to decide whether this individual is actually part of a different service tier, something maybe to do with HD or SD, and therefore delivers the appropriate bitrate. Device management is done by detecting the type of device upon connection and then enforcing a number of policies based on the parameters, such as what's the optimal bitrate, the screen resolution, the caching, and the actual session capacity. It's also possible to enforce policies based on the content source. For instance, if a source has a number of failures or abnormal latency issues, then it can be denied and another one found. And then there are dynamic policies. These are enforced during the session and continually so. Within session delivery, it is possible to enforce policies that control IP delivery. For instance, when a network becomes saturated, operations personnel could create a policy that throttles back the bit rates for defined groups or even network-wide. There are also quality of experience policies. A session delivery controller can dynamically set bit rates, resolution, session duration, or even alter fragment size to ensure the best possible playback on a given device. There are other things that need to be enforced continually as well, things like rights enforcement. So these can be enforced based on detailed user, device, geographic network, rights policies by switching content dynamically. And there's also things like device count, so you can limit the number of devices or sessions allowed on a per account basis. There's another area of dynamic policy, which is things like advertising. So you need to be able to dynamically apply policies during ad insertion, such as mismatches in duration between breaks. And also, very important is the precedence of ads against blackouts. So when do you actually make the change? So I've listed just a selection of the hundreds of policy options that can be created and applied in real time to improve and monetize a multi-screen video service. The key to any system like this is that it's constantly gathering information that can be analyzed, not just to study audience patterns, but to effect immediate improvements in service quality. Most importantly, all this can be accomplished from the network without the need to continually tweak and re-download client software.
Thanks, Duncan. So that's why stream management and policy enforcement are likely to become important tools in a multi-screen delivery network. That's only part of the story. Be sure to view our other segments on multi-screen delivery, on manifest manipulation, and on packaging and repackaging. This is Brian Santo for CED and Demystifying Technology.